Hey everybody, this is Suzanne Evans, and I've had a lot of people wanted me to, or wanting me to do a tutorial for my spray abstracts that I do. Don't ask me why I call them sprays, but I just call them sprays, and that way I keep them separate from my other abstracts. But this is a turquoise, blue, spray. I don't know, it's just something that came out of my head. So I'm going to start by going through the colors. But this is what we're going to try and end up like, or as close to as we possibly can. So we're going to start by going through the colors. I have a palette, and I usually don't use it because it takes up a lot of my time to clean the thing off. So I use these throwaway little plates, and they work just fine. So we're going to start off with your yellow ochre, your turquoise blue, quinacridone magenta, and your black. I use a lot of black because I use it as a base to put down. Then instead of using titanium white like a lot of people do, I use my gesso, and it's just because it's liquidy. It mixes very well with your paints. I can get a light purple, I can get a light color blue, much easier than trying to sit there and mix with the titanium white. So that's what I use for my white. Now the brushes, the brushes that I use are very simple. I use chip brushes to make all of the sprays out. This is a 1.5, 3.8 centimeter. It's from Royal and Langnickel. It's an angular brush, but I find that it works really well when you're trying to spread these out. I also use a liner brush. So I don't know if you can see that, but I also use a liner brush, and that's where I get all of these black lines. Sometimes I also use a 1-inch chip brush. So these are all the tools that I use for this kind of painting. I also use my palette knife. It's just an angled palette knife. This works really well. I love it. I love all of my knives. So let's get to it. Let's get started. Put this down out of my way. The very first thing that I ever do is you take your primed canvas. I have a spray bottle with water, nothing but just tap water. I usually spray it down just lightly. I don't put a whole lot on it, but just to spray it lightly, and this just helps to move the paint on the canvas much better instead of your paintbrush and getting stuck. So the first thing I do is I take my black, and this is probably not going to come out exactly like that painting, but we're going to do one similar. So the first thing I do is I just take my paint, just kind of spread it out on here. My black, and you'll see that the water mixes in with it, but it's just to help it flow a little bit better. I just don't want my paint drying. Whatever design you want to have, this is just my background. If it comes out a little bit thin because your water's on there too much, you can just go back in and add a little bit more paint. I usually take it down to the end, down to your bottom, and you're just using your palette knife to spread it out. But don't spread it too thick. Too thin. And that just gives you a base design. Just rinse it off in your water. Wipe it with your towel so you don't get the color mixed. You're going to get it mixed, but just not on your palette knife. Now the next color that I usually go in with my quinacridone magenta. I just take it and put it on the palette knife pretty thick, and just go back through and make some. And if it starts running, it's fine. That's part of abstract. But I just take the magenta. I'm probably going to have some more. Get it pretty thick on your knife and just kind of spread it through there. Spread it out. And you're going to get the black mixed in with it, and that is perfectly fine. It just gives it a different kind of magenta, a little bit darker. I think I got a little bit too much water on there, but it's okay. It's going to be covered up anyhow. Yeah, I've got to have some more magenta. Okay, rinse your palette knife off. Wipe it down real good. I keep these towels. I have them clipped on my easel with a hair piece. Then I go into my turquoise blue, and I get about this much. I don't know if you can see that. About this much on my knife. And then I'm just going to go through there randomly and just put me some streaks. I usually just take it through it and pull it. And that usually gets enough on there. And I just turn my knife different ways just to get your base on there. Just to kind of randomly put it wherever you want to put it. I got quite a bit on there that time. And you want to get more of your blue around the edges of where your line is going to be, where you're going to do the sprays, because that's what you're going to pull out to do the sprays. You may have to get a little bit more on there, but it works out perfect. So I'm going to rinse off my palette knife and wipe it down. And this is where I'm going to bring in my gesso. I'm going to put a little bit of gesso in here because it'll mix with the blue and make a real pretty lighter blue. So I had some left over, and I'm just using that from the painting I did a few minutes ago. And you're just going to randomly put this in here. And it's going to make like your light blue. I always want to put the gold colors or your yellow ochre. I like to put that on last. And then if I need to fill in with some black, I usually do. But I usually like to put that on last because it's more of a vibrant color that's going to stand out than your blue and white, because that's on your background as well. But I do my gesso the same way. I just pull my knife through and get about this much on my knife. And then I just randomly put this through, kind of thick. You don't want to smear it in or anything. And just randomly go back through. You want to give it texture. And this gives it a lot more texture by just randomly putting it in here. And I know those of you who paint know this already. So just want to make sure you don't have any spaces where the canvas is showing through in the middle part. Let's see how it's getting different colors in here, or the lighter color. So we just want to pull that through. I'm going to rinse off my palette knife and wipe it down again. I love doing these paintings because they're so relaxing. I listen to Celtic music in the background every time I'm painting. Just depends on what kind of mood I'm in. So here's where you're going to take your chip brush. Now you can take either one. I'm using my 1.5 inch chip brush. I love it. It's still a little damp. And you're just going to come through here. I usually have to take it off of the canvas or off of the easel. And you're going to decide which directions you want your sprays to go. And that's the way you're going to pull it. You're going to go right up about 1/2 inch, and you're just going to start pulling it. And we'll go back through. This has got black that's pulling it. We'll go back through with the blue and start pulling the blue once the black dries a little bit. And you may have to spray your canvas again just a little bit, just to get it to flow a little bit better. And you can dip your chip brush into your blue and put it right here on the edge and just start pulling it. See how that takes a whole different color on top of the black. I think I like that white there. So we're going to do a little bit more up here with the blue and the white. And this is going to be darker until we go back through and add a little bit of a white in there. And we can pull some. I'm just pulling it to the edge is all I'm doing. And making sure that you cover up all of your canvas. And I already see how the water is helping it cover more. But you want to make sure that your lines are pretty much going the same direction down that side. Okay. Now I'm going to flip it over so I'm right-handed. I don't go up very well. So let's take our canvas and just flip it around. You want to get it over the edge of your easel right here and just hold it so you can get this bottom part all the way to the sides. And again, we're going to spray it just to help it flow a little bit better. It's very little water. You don't want to cover your canvas with water. You don't want it soaked. I'll put it like that. I see it just pulls out much better. Acrylic doesn't want to stick if you have too much water. It just kind of wants to give you a different color and doesn't look right. But you can just go back and forth and back and forth. Go up into the paint, into what you already had, and pull that out. It's going to give you kind of like a black, it'll give you the gray color with the black and the white. Everybody knows black and white makes gray. But this one's going to be a little bit darker than my original painting. And that's fine, because it's still a beautiful blue. I love blue. Blue's probably my favorite color. Okay, now we're going to rinse out our brush real good. Got small streaks in there. And we're going to put a little bit more color of your quinacridone magenta. So I've got to get some, put it on my palette, just so you can see. I just kind of dose it in there. I'm almost out. Gotta go buy some more new. You're gonna take your palette knife, get some more of your magenta, put it, just randomly put it some on the outside, because this is what you're going to pull out to the edge. Just random. You can put big dots, whatever you want to do with it. But I get it all on my palette knife, just like that. And it's okay if you got blue in it, because you're fixing to mix blue in with it. And then that's what you're going to pull out. So you want to go back in and put just a few highlights of your magenta, just kind of random on that line that is already in the middle. I love doing this. I always have fun doing this because you can be as messy as you want and it doesn't matter. It takes forever for it to dry because it's on there so thick. Okay, now we're going to pull out some magenta. I'm going to spray it, as I say. So here again, I'm taking my 1.5 inch brush, just a little thin brush, kind of make it flat on the end, and it's still a little damp, which is what you want with your brush. You don't want a dry brush. And you just go up into the magenta and just pull. Just barely pull it on your canvas. Just gives you a little bit of that color. I don't know if you can see me doing that. Just barely pull it. And do the same thing on the opposite side. You can flip it over or you can just pull it. And I just pull it. So there you have it. It's very simple. This will take overnight to, I usually leave it overnight to dry before I do anything else to it. Oh, I see a spot. I see a spot. I see a spot. Okay, my water's dripping. And that is perfectly okay, because this is abstract. Abstract is abstract. Sometimes I even put some of these in there. Little drips. You can drip from it. It just gives it a little bit more detail. So at this point, now I'm going to take my liner brush. I'm going to get into the black. You're going to dip it in water. Dip it in water really good a few times and mix it with your black. Unless you have a liquid black, that would work great too. I just mix a little bit of water with it to make it liquidy. And then you're just going to random put you some lines. Just wherever you want to put the lines is fine. Just kind of play with it a little bit. And you can put some in between. Lines and circles. And you need to get some more water in your paint, that's fine, because I have to do that quite often. And then come up here and just put you a little, whoop, I kind of messed that one up. Can't see it. And looks like we're done. Oh, I got one more line. I see one more place that needs to have a line. You don't want to overdo your lines and have nothing but lines on here. And we're ready to sign. I usually try to sign it with a color that's not going to take away from this. That doesn't look like I'm going to be able to do that. I can do it in the black, but it's going to have to be, hopefully you can see it. I just thin my black out real good. trying to figure out a good place to sign it. I think we're going to sign it here on this line. And we're going to call it done. I may go back afterwards and paint the sides of the canvas black. I like having a black border on a lot of my paintings. Sometimes I'll get this color and go ahead and do the outer lines of it, but just for now, we're going to call it done, and I'll go back and I'll add the black on the edges. But there's the final one. Maybe if I turn it around, you might be able to see it better. Let's see. It didn't take but about 20 minutes, but you can see close up, and you can see how thick the paint is. I just love these colors. And the lines. So there's the final product. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope you come back and see some more of my videos. Like I said, this was the first one I've done on YouTube, so you'll be seeing more of me. And we will see you. Love you. Bye.